Nothing makes me nervous. Been declared the winner. I was blind, but now I see. Hey, it's 3:30 in the afternoon on Friday, and here we are at Men of Impact podcast in Corona, California, or Temescal Valley. Who knows at this point? They like to. We're here in Hope Recovery Center and at the Hope Recovery Studios. So if you have any hurts, habits, or afflictions that you need help with, come on down. Sean Kelly, who owns this place, can help you out. Right now, we're just doing the radios, as I told him to. Anyways, right now we're just doing the radio show. So here we are, Men of Impact on Friday afternoon. You guys know I love to be here, and I always bring a guest that I think is a man of impact in his family, his community, and a lot of them that I bring here have actually personally impacted my life. The man that I bring today, I haven't really known him that long, but there is some impact going on. So it was my pleasure to ask him to be on. But let me just tell you a little bit about what we do and why I'm here. I'm here because I believe that men of impact are not on the field, court, or screen. Men of impact are the guys that get up every day. They do the grind. They go out. They take care of their family. They take care of their kids. They take care of their responsibilities. Very little complaining. I mean, we're all going to complain sometime or another, but very little grumbling. It's just, it is what it is. We get out, we grind. So those are the guys those are the guys that are the real heroes of this world and of this country, not the rich guys and guys who are really showing their sons what I think are probably the wrong things to be showing them. So I like to also, one of the things we come here, I bring on people that to help anything that you might be hurting with, anything that you might have gone through. There's going to be somebody on here sooner or later that I'm going to talk to them about it. So just check it out. Go on to Men of Impact on YouTube. The Impact is with a K, IMPAKT, everybody. IMPAKT. Go to Men of Impact on YouTube. Subscribe. Ask for notifications, please. And comment. Anybody out there who is in my Saturday morning group or is on my page or is watching this, and you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Help a brother out. Subscribe, like, okay?
Ask for notifications.
Ask for notifications and comment.
Maybe share with a friend.
Always share with a friend. You never know who might be needing to hear some of these things, and that's really why I'm here. I'm here because a bunch of guys that I know did it for me. They never judged. They never got in a hurry because, believe me, I'm a slow learner when it comes to a lot of things. So with some things, I'm a fast learner, but recovery was not one of my quick ones. So, and I've only been saved for, I say only, about 20 years, but I am 57 years old. I was drug addict, all kinds of things, and just got right not too long ago. But this is something I'm just trying to pay it forward. I was a believer, but trying to pay it forward. I was an atheist back in the day, but that's all. That's a whole. I mean, you guys know my story. We're gonna get to my guest, but also one of the things that I need to tell everybody is there's a couple things. We're on Facebook at Men of Impact, IMPAKT. We have a Saturday morning Bible study every Saturday morning at 6:30 a.m. at off the 15 freeway and Indian Truck Trail exit. We're at the Starbucks, right? Some people don't like that, but whatever, who cares? So we're at the Starbucks. We're looking
outside Starbucks.
That's right. We're outside Starbucks. Yes, but there's Christians that give me a hard time about that. But anyway, we had that discussion last week. Christians are, so you call yourself a Christian. Everybody knows it's my show. I get to say what I want. So we meet out there, and we're going to be multiplying again. Now we're post COVID, we've gotten back to the size that we were at when we multiplied to other Starbucks. That's our goal. Our goal as Men of Impact is to here in Corona to be in every Starbucks. Your goal as a man of impact should be to get to your local Starbucks with a buddy and your Bible and start reading the Bible. Check in with us. Send me an email, Men of Impact with a K, Impact with a K, Men of Impact at gmail.com. Send me an email. We'll help you out. We'll encourage you. We'll tell you some of the steps we went through to get up to the number we're at. And we're not a ton, but we got, 15 to 20 that show up every Saturday morning at 6:30 in the morning. I'm not saying you need to do 6:30 in the morning. That's a tough one for us. It's hard to get some people there at 6:30 in the morning, but it is what it is. Whatever's good for you, start with 2. That's what we started with. Post on Facebook. Do what you got to do, but read the Bible.
Don't they say something about if there's two or more?
If there's
friends?
2 or more, that's right, then he is there, right? And 3 or more cannot be broken. A cord of 3 or more cannot be broken. So just do it. If you're not, just do it. So we're going to move forward, and today's show is now. First, I'm going to just tell you his name. His name is Solomon Shapiro. You should have read that on my Facebook page, but it is what it is. I know it's a little early for some guys, but it is what it is. So Solomon Shapiro, it's so funny that I actually knew the name, right, through friends of mine. Today, we realized we have almost 100 mutual friends on Facebook, never met until I walked in the door where he works and started working with him. So, and then I started hearing some of the stories of his life, and then on top of that, one of the things I want to share is your faith, right? He's Jewish, and part of what we do here, and part of what we're supposed to do here, being Jewish of faith, being Christian, being a human, is that doesn't matter. We're still grown men who have conversations, and me and Saul have even talked about those particular subjects, right? I have questions. He has questions.
Sure do.
So we are able to discuss that like grown-ups, right?
In a respectful manner.
In a respectful manner, ask questions, right? And it never gets anywhere other than, or okay.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
I learned something new today.
Learn something new today. That's right. That's with all of that noise in America and the world today, and the way people are interconnecting. It's just communicating on social media. It's just crazy to be able to do that. And again, I touched on that last week when I was talking about, so you call yourself a Christian. So Solomon Shapiro, which, listen, if you're in Corona, he's kind of a big deal here. Just saying. Everybody knows Saul, or Saul knows everybody. It's one of those things. So I wanted to bring him on here and just talk about at least what, again, when we were talking today at work, one of the guys that we work with said you could do a whole series on Saul. And I can, like literally probably several months. But we're going to try and focus on a couple of things today. His business, the business that we work together at. One of the most fantastical stories, not fantastical because that sounds like it's not real. One of the most incredible stories I have ever heard. And there's at least 2 of them that I know of, right? At least 2 that are roughly on the same level. So, Saul, just tell us, give us your name, kids, married, whatever. Tell us about a little bit about yourself right now, and then we'll go into some chat.
Okay. Thank you, Anthony. I know that everything you say on the show, it's your business, so you're always right. I will say that men of impact can be prosperous and still have a good impact on their family, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you may have implied differently at the very beginning, and I just want to make sure that we're open to every level of prosperity.
Of course.
And lack thereof, right? Because we deal a lot with that at our work. I lived in Corona, or worked in Corona, since 1980. Raised a family here. I have 2 daughters and a son who are adults, and also helped raise 2 nieces and another young lady who calls me Uncle Saul. Corona has been my home since the 1980s, thanks in part to going to a Chamber of Commerce meeting where superintendent of the schools gave an address and spoke about the school he was building in the neighborhood that I 2 weeks later went and bought a house. I watched them finish building the school and the house. And I have not been disappointed. I've been very happy and proud to be here in Corona and the surrounding area. Raised my kids in this area, had all the kids go to that school. All 6 of those kids went to that school, and that's Proud of You Elementary, and I'm proud of that. As far as my background, I've been a business owner since 1990. again, thanks to someone I met through the Chamber of Commerce, and continued to work for someone else for a few years after that. Retired from that in about 15 years ago, and got cancer about 30 days later, right? Which was kind of a double-edged sword because I didn't have a job anymore, so I didn't have to worry about getting called at midnight or 2 in the morning to come in and fill in for somebody. I also didn't have, sick leave to pay me, which I left on the table, 6 months of paid sick leave. So, but each of these times that I have overcome something that could have killed me has been a learning experience and an opportunity to maybe benefit someone else who didn't know what they could do in the same circumstance.
And that's what, I don't know if anybody saw the title, but Saul is what we call an overcomer. I don't know if you've heard, there's Christian songs called Overcomer. I can't remember who sings it right now, but I'm sure one of the boys do. Nope. Okay.
We'll comment in the comments about who sings that.
Somebody sings that. Somebody
I've listened to it. I've sung it.
And he's an overcomer with a lot of things. And you know what? So usually I read that beginning part.
Okay.
And you're right. I didn't mean to imply that rich people can't be men of impact. What I do imply is that here in America, a large portion of people show their sons what a hero is, that in my opinion isn't a hero. Anti-hero is probably closer to it. And that's just kind of the American way these days. And again, it's their beliefs. I'm not judging anybody. I just think that our young men need to have the right things in front of them, like I didn't. So,
like the Bible.
Like a Bible. Like a Bible. And so one of the things I kind of lost it, but one of the things a couple of things that we want to talk about, some of the things that you overcame. But right now, let's just talk about the business a little bit. Okay.
So I'm wearing a shirt that says Living Better 101, and that implies what we do. We help people live better, and a 101 implies we're an education community. So we teach people how to solve their credit score issues, how to get things that have impacted them negatively in the past and no longer desirable for their future. So we help them in some ways erase their past mistakes or rewrite their report card if necessary on the credit side. We also help people with liberate debt in liberating their debt. We find different ways for debt relief for things that are either predatory loans or unfair loans or loans that didn't possibly disclose all the pitfalls, like kids that went to college and ended up with private student loans. Very big negative impact for sometimes up to 30 years, or on their parents for longer. And finally, we have educational solutions, Ed Solutions Unleashed, which teaches people how to get their student loans in a position where they're best able to take advantage of any forgiveness programs or any discharge programs or any relief programs. And the tough lesson people learn there first, and often before they find us, is that unless you ask for help, the government does not provide help in this arena. It's the most unfair.
Any arena?
There are some arenas where the government goes out of the way to ask you, do you want food stamps? Do you want Medi-Cal? Do you want public relief programs? Do you want a welfare check even? They ask you to please apply. However, they don't ask you to apply for forgiveness. They don't tell you how to apply for forgiveness. And when they do, they fail you at a rate between 93 and 98% failure rate, meaning a program in the student loan arena that has been around since 2007 has less than 10,000 success stories out of millions of students who owe money and have paid on those loans for more than 10 years and thought they were really on track for forgiveness, and they are not even close. The punishment is often start your 10 years over again, or for some people it's 12 years or up to 25 years if you don't know how to do it right. So we teach how to do it right.
And that's one of the reasons that I came there is I don't know if anybody knows, but I was in collections for darn near 30 years and told myself I was helping people. I was helping them not get sued, That was my justification, while I was taking as much money out of their pockets as I possibly could. And then that's where my time ended. And that's honestly, I left them just as much a wreck as when I got there. It's just they didn't get sued. So, and a couple of the things are because one of the things Saul said, and I think that is one of the most important things about Living Better 101, Saul, is that we educate them to no longer need us.
Right. That's the goal.
That's the goal. But when I was in my, and you correct me if I'm wrong, when I was in my collections job, I worked with a lot of companies, a lot of debt relief companies, a lot of credit repair companies, right? I didn't work with anybody with student loans, but all of those companies I worked with. And what we found was not only did they not do a good job most of the time, and when I say most, I don't mean 90%. I couldn't tell you a percentage. I just mean more than half of the time. Mm-hmm. Not only were they not doing a good job, they weren't doing any job. They're just taking people's money.
Yeah, in many cases.
In many cases.
And so both those industries have a bad reputation. And that's why we're an educational company first, because we're going to teach you what went wrong, and we're going to teach you what can be done right. And we're going to teach you how we're doing it, so that if you choose to learn the lessons, you can take over for yourself and hopefully not become a repeat customer. We know statistically some will come back and have to learn the lessons again, even members of my own family. And that's okay, because we'll be there, a soft landing for those people who made the same mistake or made a different mistake, didn't know, right, that maybe they got the credit fixed and then they went and bought a timeshare. Didn't know that they're leaving a debt for their grandchildren to pay, and that it's not an ownership situation, for example. Or maybe they just got in trouble, didn't know that if they missed filing tax one year that they could still file the next year and not get in worse trouble. But most people don't know. They think, if I didn't do it one year, now I can't catch up. And so we help them fix those things too.
Okay, and that's what I think is important. Is yes, it's not a free service, but we are trying to get you out on your own. And Saul is trying very hard to get you out on your own. And the key is, if we can get you out on your own, you'll tell two friends, and they'll tell two friends. That's it. We don't really care about the rest. I mean,
and the interesting thing is, you start the interview and you offer people a free consultation, which some people find hard to believe. Like, why would you spend even 10 minutes with me, let alone maybe even sometimes up to half an hour in research to help guide them what they need? And then we tell them what they need. Whether they hire us or not is kind of secondary to the conversation, because we offered them a free consultation, and they might spend $1 to run a report of some type or another. And people always ask me, why aren't you charging me for the service? Like parents will ask for advice for their college age students. I'm always asking, look, my goal is to not need your kids to be clients of mine. Like, I'd really like to have this stop with this generation, because it's so unfair that I've got grandparents in their 80s still as clients.
I've seen it.
Yeah, that is not cool. Not cool with me. So we'll never run out of customers. We don't need new customers to get into new trouble. We can do just fine with the ones who have already messed up.
Yeah,
that's my goal.
The student loan industry, guys, is a mess. If you've got kids out there with student loans, call us. If you've got kids getting ready to go to college, call us. Again, he's not lying. I've seen these guys just give out free advice and tell them, I've also seen him, which you'll I don't want to say never. You will almost, it seems like how about this? It feels like you will never see from other companies, is to get you out. What I mean is, they'll get them on the phone, and I have heard them say, "Oh yeah, you're in a pretty good situation. You really don't need my help right now." And
you don't hear many companies say that, do you?
They don't.
Yeah.
They're going to get you for $20 a month or something. They've got something you don't need, but they need you to need. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Literally, that was my last interview today. It was with a kid who was already out of college, and he was very pleased with our interview, because I said, you don't need my help, but I'll tell you what to do next. And he was very pleased and very happy with that advice.
And that's that is the way Jesus would do it. Plain and simple.
Integrity.
Yep. Integrity. It's integrity. And we have to move that. And we're just trying to move forward. And, that has to do with the guy who started it all, right? I don't care what you do, don't lie. Okay. Don't tell stories, right? If you can't help them, don't help them. And I've seen it countless times. So now I want to get into well, like I said, Saul's you've been volunteering at, you talked about the chamber for a second, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've been volunteering at the chamber for how long?
On paper, 15 years, but probably double that time if I had to go back and look. I've been involved in some way or another. Well, 1989 is when I went to that luncheon that changed the course of everything. Every now and then, when I've actually been, as a volunteer, gone to the city council meeting, and when the chamber's contract is up for a few tens of thousands of dollars, and they've asked what impact they have, and I just want to stand up there and scream, like, I don't know. I think I've made some impact here. I've put 6 kids through school here, and I only moved here because I learned about this school district through the Chamber of Commerce. So I think that's a pretty good return on their investment, whatever it is. If you get one of me, and I'm not perfect, I'm not even, and I'm not that great, but I think my family's had an impact in this town, and you multiply that out by however many people the chamber touched, including the nonprofit community, which they offer quite a bit of service to any organization of worthy cause, to meet, to greet, to communicate at no charge for some of their activities.
And Corona is very much like that. When people tell me, why do you live in Corona? I say, look, we got everything we need, but it's still a very small town feel.
Right.
It's very community driven, medium-sized city. Yeah, so 150,000 is quite a bit. I mean, it's not LA.
Yeah. That was the census 10 years ago. We crossed over 150,000.
Yeah.
And there's a new census. We'll get the results at some point, I'm sure. I worked on the last census, so I know every one of those numbers counted. And also, like you said, you can run into someone at the coffee shop or the pancake house, and literally, you might even run into a congressman, and you probably know the person's name.
Yeah.
Right. That you can see in town, and it does have that hometown feel, even with, inching up on 200,000 people in this town.
Yeah, I mean, and it's the county's a lot like Riverside County, because Riverside. Well, I mean, I had the Riverside District Attorney come here and talk to me.
Mike Hestron.
Yeah, Mike Hestron, and I know he's up for re-election. So I think Mike, if you're listening, if not, that's okay. You know Saul, I know Saul. I'd like you to come back because I know it's re-election time, and I want to help anybody. I want to help you if you can, Mike.
So what's interesting is this is a nonprofit scenario, and yet when you hear him speak, he's not talking about this political party or that political party. Just what is the right thing to keep your community safe, and it's pretty impactful. I've seen him speak in front of a pretty good sized crowd, and he just wants to do the right thing. It's really refreshing.
It's really refreshing.
You don't see that in every community.
Yeah.
Especially right now.
And he was great, man. And he was great. And it was an awesome show. That's why I'd like to get him back here. But also because it's re-election time. He needs to get in everywhere he can. I mean, Mike Hestron needs to be reelected. You hear me? Mike Hestron, reelected. So we got about 6 minutes before break. So we're going to get started. I told you. So we're going to get started because for me, the Griffith Park, that's fun.
Okay.
No, that's fun.
Okay.
The Argentina, that whole thing, that's crazy. That's some insanity, right? So, and you were young, right? When it all started. When did it start? Tell me how you ended up in Argentina.
Okay.
In an orphanage.
Now we could go 25 minutes straight just on that subject.
I know that.
Let me highlight a couple of things that led up to that.
Yes.
Okay. Because what I'm writing about, my story is about all the ways I've overcome something that in other circumstances could have killed somebody.
Yes.
And that ranges from, falling in a swimming pool, getting bit by dogs, to getting lost overnight in Griffith Park when I was 6 years old with my buddy Buzzy.
You were 6.
6, yeah, overnight, right? 66 firemen, countless policemen. It's in the newspaper. We have a copy of it. LA Times, not front page, but right next to it. And all the different ways that could have gone wrong, even for my own dad almost getting shot on his way to come find me.
Yeah.
And, my brother getting asked if he wants to go in a helicopter, a twin brother, right? 6 years old, to come find us because he was the last one to see us. And other incidents after what we'll talk about with Argentina, which included being held at gunpoint and a third time, and unfortunately falling asleep at the wheel and surviving miraculously. There's no other explanation for both of the times that I can document that. And crazier things, but more recent, like even just COVID, right? And finding a way to turn surviving COVID into something positive. And not everyone got to survive that.
That's
and I
correct.
feel very blessed with that. And about 2 weeks ago, the place where I give my COVID antibodies told me that there's nobody that's been donating longer than I have. It's been over a year. And I'm proud of that. I'm not bragging about it. It's something that people can do. They needed plasma, since the 1940s. They found ways to capture it and give it back to people who need blood transfusions and hemophiliacs and other people who get daily, in some cases, up to 900 times a year that they need plasma infusions. So finding a way to do that and knowing that it's having an impact, pretty awesome.
Let's stop there for 1 second. Like you just said, people need a lot of plasma, and I didn't know that they pay you for your plasma.
I tried to do it for free. Then the free places wouldn't take me because I had cancer, and I'm like, but you take my blood. Like, yeah, but this is different. I'm like, no, it's not. The plasma comes out of my blood. You could just give me back part of the blood. It's very strange, very strange.
So, any of you guys out there that need a few extra bucks, they will pay.
Yeah.
Or call Saul. You better call Saul.
I'll make the referral.
He'll make the referral.
Yeah.
Right. And usually when Saul makes a referral, there's some little extra benefit in there for you somehow. Either they know him and there's an extra kick, or who knows. But I'm just saying, when you say Saul Shapiro in Corona, it means something. And now we've got 2 minutes. So here in Corona, let's stay on Corona. Your daughter is now one of your daughters, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is vice president.
Yep.
Of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yep.
So the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. She probably, if you look at how old she is and how long you've been there, she probably grew up in that.
She did in a way.
In a way,
she did. She's been there over a decade, and she is the go-to when it comes to creating events. In fact, the next big one she has a one celebrating 9/11 heroes on the 10th on a Friday morning. Good morning Corona breakfast, and then the big one for the year, I think, is the Women's Leadership Conference on September 30th. Happens to be my birthday. And she didn't pick that date on purpose. So that's when the committee picked it. And that is, even men can go if they're brave enough. There's probably 500 women that show up to that kind of a conference. And it is a leadership conference that was started by Karen Spiegel. His husband happens to be the president of the chamber right now.
Bobby Spiegel is president of the chamber. So if you're a business owner, you're in Corona. But the thing about Chamber of Commerce, if you're a business owner, you can join any Chamber of Commerce, right?
That's right.
So if you're a business owner and you're in Corona, you should call Bobby Spiegel, get down to the chamber, get involved. Really, they help. It's a very community-driven chamber. They really do care about your business. If you're not in Corona, you should probably just call them anyways and get in there, because there's now, obviously, if you're brick and mortar in Los Angeles, that's not going to help you out too much.
Some of them join the chamber because they still do business with Corona and they need what Corona represents.
Yeah. So,
but if they call us, then we'll make the referral and they'll buy one of us breakfast.
Yeah. Call us. call us. Well, I don't have my phone number posted anywhere, but you can call us at Living Better 101.
888-764-4812.
888-764-4812. Now we got 9 seconds, so we're gonna sign off for about 5 minutes, everybody. We're gonna come back with Saul and really be rushed for time. Okay, we're back. Where was my music, guys? Come on.
It's in the background.
Yeah, they're supposed to give me my music so that I know we're coming back. But that's okay. They're young.
They're great.
They're great. Yes, they are. They're wonderful. Um, and I appreciate them. I appreciate, listen, I got a 17-year-old and a 21-year-old that show up here every Thursday at 3:30 for free. It's just like, most people don't think those kids exist. I'm telling you right now, I got two of them where you can't see. Right now, I got two of them that do that for me.
Well, it's awesome. They come back on Friday too.
Oh yeah, Friday. My bad. Fridays. Sorry. The show used to be on Thursday. So thank you very much. So we're back. We're back from break. I'm sorry, I kind of got sidetracked. We're back from break, and what I really want to talk about, because Saul is the overcomer, right? And and he's a man of impact in my eyes, because what he did is he took the experiences, and these experiences, the kind of experiences Saul has, can do one of two things. They just can. You can never. Well, first of all, you're never going to be the same either way, but you can either take that and go negative, or you can take that and go positive. And unfortunately, the majority go negative.
Right. They never overcome.
They never overcome.
Even if they've moved on, it still colors every aspect of their life negatively in many ways.
Yes. And that is an awful way to live. And one of the reasons I do the show, you never know who's listening, right? I have total faith that if there is somebody out there that my show could save, God will make sure somehow he finds that show that day, that moment. I don't know how, but I have total faith that God can and will do that.
So I have to say something really quick about overcoming, because I have an example in my own life that is beyond what I can share. And that's a woman named Brianna Norwood, who took a near lethal domestic violence situation and turned it into an opportunity after she recovered to teach students, high school level, and even lectures men on how they can be better in their relationships, so that they don't have to have others suffer the same kind of near lethal abuse that she suffered. And she was featured on a TV show last year. And I just wanted to say that there are women who have an impact on men on how to be better as well.
Absolutely. And this show has impacted women. It's just, I don't talk to women on the show, but that doesn't mean I don't certainly. Why are you listening? You know what I mean?
Of course.
But, and I have been questioned about that, about the Bible study. When I put men's Bible study, I've had women ask, well, can women attend? And I've said no. And they say, well, why not? Like, it's not fair. I'm like, well, no, it is fair, but this is a men's Bible study. My suggestion would be, call some of your friends. Start your own women's Bible study. That's the only suggestion I have. Does that mean men and women can't study the Bible together? No, that's not what that means. It just means that's not what we're doing with this.
Right. We're trying to teach men to be better.
Better men.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Better.
That's your
men.
calling.
That's.
Yeah. And you set the example.
Well,
proud of you.
I do what I can.
I know.
Certainly not perfect. So I know it's a long story.
I can tell you in 20 minutes.
Okay.
So let's talk about this. So when I was 8 years old, my parents had already been divorced for about 4 years. My dad decided that every other weekend and 2 weeks on the summer was not enough for him. So he retired from his job, 44 years old, and plotted to take his 4 children with my mom. Each of them had 7 kids altogether, but there were 4 of us that were with the same parents. And he decided he was going to move us to Argentina. And he planned every detail that he could come up with. Unfortunately, my twin brother and I made it, but my 2 next older sisters did not. They ended up going on my mom's honeymoon to her 3rd husband. And that had lifelong consequences for them. We may talk about that later. But my sister ended up, being a teenage mom, single. And my other sister ended up actually dying in her early 50s because of lifelong pain, because she didn't get her scoliosis treated, in part because she ran away from home because dad wasn't there. We thought we were on vacation. Dad took us on vacation. We thought we were going to Lake Tahoe. He takes us to Mexico and Panama, and we ended up in Argentina. And we're living our life there. I asked Dad.
Was that because of extradition laws?
It was because he knew that the laws were different in Argentina than they were here. He knew he didn't have permission to take us to Argentina. In fact, I have a handwritten note he gave my mom. She passed away, unfortunately, a few weeks ago, and she left all the papers, including his note of our itinerary, and there was no truth to that note whatsoever. And I didn't sign it under penalty of perjury, but he might as well have. But it was his handwriting. It said where we were going, and I'm like, Dad, you still owe me for those trips. And unfortunately, he's gone. So, September comes around, and I asked Dad two things. First one is, am I ever going to see Mom again? He said, yeah. And the other one is, shouldn't we be starting school? And he said, yeah, maybe we'll go to school here. And I said, okay. So we started fourth grade there in September of 1970. Meanwhile, my mom gets back from her honeymoon, and the girls are waiting for us to come back and be returned. So the one girl went to my dad's apartment, and my stepmom still had an apartment, and the other one went there, and they were both cleaned out. So they knew we were gone. And so Mom immediately files a kidnapping charge with the police and starts sending her new husband all over the world trying to find us, to Canada, to Mexico, to Israel. Finally, realizes, my stepmother was from Argentina, and, tracked down her mother and found out that we had been there, made up some story that she had to contact us. So she sends him to Buenos Aires. The friends in Buenos Aires bribes him and tells him what city we're in, Carlos Paz, Cordoba.
They're going to take a bribe, friend or not, in Argentina, right?
Well, they had a lot of money to work with. Well,
yes.
They had a lot of money to work with.
That's what I mean. They might not do it for $10, but if you've got money, somebody's going to take that bribe.
My dad played the stock market before he got divorced, and my mom had no idea that he had stashed $500,000 in the 60s. But her husband, or her lawyer, Harvey Epstein, found that money, and Dad had to share it. And Mom said she spent almost the whole $250,000 to get us back from Argentina over the course of 2.5 years. That day, my stepfather ends up in Carlos Paz. He gets the assistant chief of police. The chief is off. The chief was my dad's friend. They had lawyers, doctors, everyone meeting at the house. Anyway, they go to the neighbor's house, and the neighbor says, the American twins. Yes. Yeah, they used to live here. They moved across town by the cuckoo clock. So they send them off on a wild goose chase. And, then they come over and tell us. And so my dad's we go over to her house. We know we're safe there. They still have to get a court order to get in. So he's chain smoking, trying to figure out what we're doing. And finally looks at his watch. He said, it's time to go, boys. They've had just enough time to get to the Capitol, bribe a judge, get the paper signed, and get back here. We got to go. So we start climbing the backyard of this lady's house, which is the last house before the mountain. And before we even got to the mountain, big truck pulls up, and a bunch of guys with machine guns come out and surround us and haul us off, right? We're not even 9 years old yet. And they took us to it wasn't a jail, but like a law library. They held us overnight. Next day.
Not your dad.
No, Dad, he took him somewhere else. Okay. And
because that's traumatic right there.
Right. So we're separated. It's just me and my twin brother and some kind of caretaker at the door, right? Not even with us in what looked like a law library. I just remember sleeping on the floor or carpet with a bunch of books. Next day, they go to court, and the judge says it doesn't know what to do with us, right? I mean, Mom's got custody in the United States. They don't recognize that. There's no extradition treaty. There's no international recognition, 1970, of each other's laws. So he sends us to the orphanage. And at first, put us in with the family that took care of the orphanage, and that was okay. We learned Spanish really quick because we didn't know any. I knew 2 words, mas leche. Didn't even know that made a sentence. And but within 3 months, we were fluent in Spanish. But Mom thought that Dad was getting kind of chummy with the caretakers, and even though we had bodyguards, we had 2 guards the state assigned to make sure we didn't get kidnapped again until they figured this out. 2 that Mom hired to make sure Dad didn't bribe the state guards. 2 that Dad hired to make sure Mom didn't bribe the state guards. So we had 6 bodyguards with us at all times. That wasn't good enough. We ended up in the orphanage, and I remember like it was yesterday. First night, we have whatever Argentina's version of menudo is, and we go up to the dormitory. There's 50 cots lined up. I go to the bathroom where there's no stalls, there's everything, there's no doors,
Yeah.
right? And I promptly refunded I lost my lunch, literally and figuratively. Like I was that upset. Like I'm 9 years old and I know that this ain't right. Like
Yeah.
this is effed up. Like this is messed up. Like 50 kids, 48 of them don't have parents, and we got 2 parents and they can't decide where we should be. We lived there for 9 months. And, parents would come visit us, and you put on a happy face when your parents come visit you and you're not living with them, but you're never happy when you're not able to go home at night. And that would come into play later in life when a family friend wanted us to take care of her daughter and said, look, I went to jail for child abuse, but I never abused this kid. It was the other kid I adopted, and they took him away. And would you please take care of her for 4 months until I get custody back? And we ended up keeping her for 4.5 years. And that was tough, right? It took 4.5 months to get her. Now, here's where the impact comes in, right? Now, I had to call my county supervisor, which is now Karen Spiegel. But before that, the gentleman, I called him and I said, look, man, I've been waiting 4.5 months for this kid. Now, I don't pretend to be perfect, but if I can't get a kid out of your foster care, nobody's going home tonight. That something's wrong there. So I tell you this because I wasn't going to let the kid get thrown away, and because I know what it felt like, and I knew what her fate would be like if she went to group home or whatever. Eventually, we end up getting sent home to my dad. We get out of the orphanage. We're living a good life. And after another year and a half or so, Mom gets permission to take us on vacation. And we know what that means, right? We're living a good life. You have to know what that means. Right. We're now 11 years old. We finished 6th grade in Argentina. We kind of skipped most of 4th grade there. We had 5th grade in the orphanage. And we didn't want to go, right? But she knew at all costs she had to get us out of there, not just because she loved us and just because Dad didn't deserve or earn custody, but because she felt fearful for us. There was the time of the desaparecidos in Argentina, disappeared ones that were never to be seen again, and nobody, I don't know what happened to them, but that was very big in the news. Excuse me. So she gets permission to take us on a month vacation. The guards literally have to pry us off the trees in Dad's backyard to get us out of into the car and to our vacation destination. Right. Yeah. Mom locks us up in her lawyer's house, and I escape the first night. I get the screen off the windows. I get my brother, let's go. We get to my dad's guards, and I say, hey, you got to get us back to my dad. They're going to take us out of the country. We'll never see Dad again. They pick us up, one under each arm, carry us back up to the house and say, these kids are having a bad dream. They got out of the house. And so now we're on deadbolt duty, yeah. no escape. And finally, after a couple of weeks, Mom says, you know what, you guys have been good. Let's go take a little field trip. Go to this nightclub called Cheops in the shape of the Egyptian pyramid. And it's closed, right? We take a tour of the outside and we're looking around and say, okay, Mom, what's next? And she goes, well, let's just wait here for a minute. So I turn to my brother. I'm like, it's going down. This is it. We're leaving today. And so we got our 6 bodyguards with us. Mercedes pulls up, 2 big goons jump out, start flashing legal papers at the guards. The one guard's arguing with my mom. Her guard, the guy she hired, and he's like, hey, my job's with them. I don't answer to these guys. My job is to stay with the kids. While they're arguing, another car pulls up. 2 goons shove us in the back seat. Mom gets in the front seat. We drive off. And I could still picture those guys, again, like it was yesterday. I could look in the back of that window and I could see those 6 guards all lined up. Nobody pulled a gun. And I was resentful for about 30 years until I actually went to a Bible study, and somebody was telling a story about how they had survived something that could have killed them. And he told us, there's a reason why I've told you what I can't overcame, because I want you to think about what God has brought you through. Think about what you could not have come through without someone on your side, literally, figuratively, looking out for you. And I started making that list of all the ways I've overcome something that could have killed me. And I looked back at that incident, and I now was able to look at it with a different perspective. Now, as an adult, with 6 bodyguards that didn't pull a gun, and the 4 guys that all had guns, and nobody got in a gunfight. And now I realized that probably saved my life.
Probably.
Right?
Yeah.
So those big goons threw us kicking, screaming, spitting into the back of that plane.
So goons or not, somebody there cared about the kids
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
guns.
Right.
With the guns. Somebody with the guns.
Somebody made sure the guys didn't pull the guns.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was divine intervention.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
There's no other explanation, because I knew those guys all had guns because I helped them clean their guns at age 9, 10 years old.
Right.
They'd let us play with the gun. That's how silly this was in the orphanage. We had nothing better to do. Yeah.
It's a different world.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, different country.
Different. That's what I mean.
So they fly us out of the country. They arrest my stepfather and the pilot because they flew out of the middle of Argentina to Paraguay without a flight plan. The stepdad drives his way out of the place, out of the jail. I read in my mom's papers, they eventually sent money for the other guard to get out, the pilot to get out of jail. Not his fault. He just did his job and whatever he was paid for. We go to Brazil for a couple of days. The taxi takes us to the wrong airport. So the hotel, the airline puts us up in a hotel where I escape again. And I asked the operator to make a collect call to my neighbor in Argentina, and Dad wasn't home. They weren't home. He never knew that I was trying to tell him, hey, you can still catch us before it's too late. Fly through Peru, then to America. 2 days later, right? We've been gone from Argentina a week. Mom buys a motorhome. We're on the run to make sure Dad couldn't find us. And Dad didn't find us. He couldn't come back without going to jail. Eventually, one of my cousins, who was very influential in Orange County, ended up making a deal for Dad to come back. But that was 5.5 years later. I left Argentina, a 6th grader, elementary school. We finally stopped running in time for 1 month of 7th grade. And the next time I saw Dad, I had just finished high school and my first year at University of California. It was the next time I saw Dad. After surviving another attempt on my life, I could say. You'll read about it in my paper one day. Literally. I was supposed to go see Dad on Saturday morning, but I caught a Friday night flight. That night, my room catches fire. One of 4 fires I've not been burned in. Literally 2 of them, I was driving the car. That has had an impact on my life. When my 25-year-old was first born, I with the help of the principal of our school, we started a dad's club at school. The idea was keep families together. Maybe if dads were more involved at this age, maybe they wouldn't split up their family, and the kids wouldn't have to go to 2 different households every other week. And maybe someone else wouldn't have to go through what we went through. And through that dad's club, John Faraci, we adopted each other's families. He mourned for my mom, just like the rest of my siblings. Were closer probably than any other brother in either family. Over what we accomplished to help kids stay, hopefully, with 2 parents for as long as possible. We ended up starting dad's clubs throughout Corona and across the state, and Florida, New York. I even flew to Indiana and helped start a dad's club there. Later in life, I also helped raise 2 nieces. I knew they didn't have a dad, and they needed a place to stay, and they stayed with me. And one stayed with me until she went off to college at Biola. Again, I think because of the impact of not having a father for 5.5 years had on me, I didn't want to see anyone else that I could help avoid that impact, even though I wasn't their dad. I could be a good uncle to them and a father figure. And I'm proud of that. And I was able to be at both their weddings, the 2 older nieces. And
I talk about it all the time on my show about, it's the guys. It doesn't get turned around without the men turning it around. It just doesn't. We're the one that drove it into the ground. We're got to be the ones that dig it up out, right? I mean, honestly, many times I said I'm pretty sure women did not invent prostitution, or, they did not invent pornography. I am pretty sure, because we got it twisted real early on. They were our gift from God,
mm-hmm.
and somewhere we got them believing we're theirs. It's just a terrible thing. And now we've got pornography, sex films where they are the ones that are they're the victims in most of these things. We've got sex trafficking now. Right. These things were not invented by women. Now, that's not to say there aren't professional women making money on it now.
Sure.
But there wouldn't have been if it wasn't a thing, right?
Right. Or if someone didn't pay for it.
Right. And who's paying for it?
Right.
Right. So that's what I talk about that all the time. It's up to us, guys. I mean, just plain and simple, it's up to us. If we don't give them back who they are, then we just can't get there. And that just starts with us. Individuals, plain and simple, as an individual, do better. If you don't know how to do better, call us, email me. Got some resources. Mm-hmm. There are people that can help you do better. You know, I talked to Eric Ray. You know Eric Ray?
I do, yes.
And he was on my show once. Great family, great guy, some unbelievable boys.
Shout out to Landon Ray.
Shout out to all the Rays. But yeah, he's a Landon. My the one I know the most is Parker, but I do know all the boys. Yeah. But he told me that, and I didn't even know until he got him on the show, that he had another daughter. I never knew that. Right?
Yeah, you only hear about the Ray boys.
That's right. You only hear about the Ray boys, but she didn't live with him. Mm-hmm. She lived with her mother. Yes. But he told me that when Kathy told him that it was going to be a boy, he kind of freaked because she was already a little older, you know, so he'd been with her for a while. He kind of freaked out. He goes, I don't know nothing about raising a boy. What the heck am I going to do? Now, here's why I bring this up, fellas, while you're listening. What he did was buy books, get on the internet, talk to people who had boys, study. Yeah. So that by the time the first boy got there, he at least had an idea.
Yeah. Same thing I did.
And by the time
studied. Figured I don't think we can prove that not everyone was naturally born to be a parent.
Yes.
And so maybe you should learn from some who have done it right or have learned better.
Right.
And do better, like you said.
Because we've got tons of documentation that there are people who are not naturally parents.
That's for sure. Yeah.
So, and that's what I like to tell the guys out there all the time, you know, is do better. I tell them I was that guy. I was awful. I mean, do not refer to your wife as your old lady. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Do not refer as the ball and chain, because if you refer to her as a ball and chain, guess what she becomes? The ball and chain.
You have several shows on that subject. You have several shows I've seen on that subject.
Yes.
On this channel.
Yes. Because up here, she becomes a ball and chain. So we have a tendency as humans, not necessarily as men. Men, I think it's a little bit more pronounced, but a tendency as humans to blame. I mean, again, standing right there, right, with the apple, right? Mm-hmm. Listen, guys, it ain't her fault. We were standing right next to her. It was our job to stop her. Right?
Pretty sure there was some blame that went into that cross being erected.
That's right. So, and she blames the snake, and he blames God. And that's where it all started going downhill. Right?
Hopefully we learned a thing or two since then.
Hopefully. And a buddy of mine likes to point out, he goes, no, listen, seriously, it took us all of one generation to commit murder. It's like, ooh, wow, that's right. One.
Yeah. And that's just the top 10 commandments. There were a few others that they threw in the book while they were there. About 600 or so.
So, again, now we're wrapping it up, dude. So give some shout outs.
Okay.
Say hi to who you want to say hi to.
Okay. First of all, I want to say yo habla español because I lived in Argentina for 2 years. I actually remember a little bit of my Spanish. You know what? I want to say thank you to Connie Larson. She started the education part of Living Better 101. And she is a woman of impact that has made a difference for her family and for, just thousands of people that we have helped, because she started by telling people how to do what we did wrong, and let's just fix it, right? Let's learn from those mistakes.
Okay. And Again, Living Better 101, guys. You can find it on the internet, livingbetter101.com. And you can
That's
call
right.
us. You can email me at menofimpact@gmail.com. You can find us on the Facebook page. Listen, I want to say one more thing. I got a fishing page, 419 Impact Fishing. Look at it. Get there. Men of Impact, because we like to go fishing together. One of the things we do is men need to do life together.
Amen.
We need to do life together because we will choose isolation almost every time if we have our choice. So we need to do life together, be around the right guys, make the right decisions. Thanks, everybody. Glad to see you. I hope you enjoyed the show. Remember, subscribe, like, notifications, and comment.
And share.
And share. I love you.